Wherever you are joining us from around the world, good morning from Yas Marina Circuit. This is the final day of competition for the Radical World Finals 2024, presented by Kinetic 7. My name's Tom Drewer. I'm joined up in the commentary booth with Sarah Esser. And good morning, Sarah.
Good morning. How are you? Another beautiful day. I've been down in the pit lane talking to some of the drivers. They're very, very excited to get back on track this morning. It was quite an interesting day yesterday. Should we run through perhaps some of the results?
Absolutely. Well, it was a big day for the local Alim Jasev. 2 wins in the Platinum class and doing a tremendous job. That man we just saw rolling out of pit lane, Oscar Joyce, coming away with his 2 second places. And there he is going through the tunnel. Greg Gorski, 2 third places, and he trundles down pit lane at the moment in that very unique liveried cock oil machine. In Pro 1500, it's been a battle so far between Usman Magal, who took the win in Heat Race 1, and Ian Aguilera, who took the win yesterday afternoon. Christian Brooks has been on the podium both times, so a strong result for him. And then in Pro 1340, the Canadians have topped the charts all week long. Robert Burgess has taken a clean sweep so far from Eric Sonny Andrews and John Hughes. But now it's time for a completely different format. We've gone from 2 sprint races to what will be a longer race, a 45-minute race featuring a mandatory pit stop. And reading up on the regulations, 17 minutes into the race, the pit stop window will open. And then the drivers will have about 9 minutes in terms of how much time they have to decide whether to pit early or late. So only a few laps when you think about that. And then they've got to stop in their boxes for 45 seconds. They've got to be stationary. The engines do not have to be turned off. There's no need for any work to be done on the cars, but certainly work can be done. No refueling in that time, mind you. And of course, it will be more about hitting your marks and having clean in-laps and out-laps. And certainly here with that big tunnel and the long exit, pit road exit, that will be a crucial moment in this 45-minute race.
So what do you think some of the things they might work on their car would be, coming into the pits? Obviously, it's not mandatory. It's they have to come in. What are the sort of things that they might do?
I think the really big thing will be tire pressures. So depending on the drivers have had 3 sets of hand-cooked tires to manage over the course of competition, so from qualifying onwards. And the big question will be, do you go out on new rubber and when? I suspect a lot of drivers will be saving a brand new set of hand-cooked rubber for the final later on this afternoon. But for now, it may be a case of just resetting the tire pressures. Perhaps they were just a little bit too aggressive in the warm-up. You might find that the tires have just ballooned a little bit in the heat. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see the pressures being reset during that pit stop. Otherwise, perhaps just a little bit of crash damage, maybe a wing angle change, something like that.
Yeah, definitely. So yesterday we noticed, especially during qualifying, it was quite hard to find some clean space on the track. There are 32 cars out on the track. What do we think is going to happen today? Slightly longer race. Do we think that that's going to make racing a little bit easier?
Well, I think it's going to be a completely different ball game today. Of course, drivers are going to have to manage the race in a couple of different phases. Yes, the traffic was tremendous. The racing was tremendous yesterday. I still think we're going to have a pack race, particularly in that Pro 1500 class, all throughout. However, the pit stop is going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons, if you will, and we could see some people stopping early, others trying to overcut or stay out in fresh air. So that's where that traffic will come into play. And then obviously everyone's going to come back together, albeit possibly in a slightly different order, to finish out the remaining minutes of the race. So that'll be a fun one to watch. We're looking forward to shortly joining our colleague Chris Milbourne down on the grid. He'll be setting up there in just a moment to capture a few comments from the drivers. As you can see, drivers out there at the moment. We're just watching Ian Aguilera make his way around to the grid.
So I noticed yesterday, radicals are quite new to me. Some of the cars are they're seated on the right, some of them are on the left, and some are in the center. Why is that, and what's the difference that will have with racing?
Well, obviously, being the second largest race car manufacturer in the world, radicals are produced for all of different markets. And if it's in Australia, people sit on the other side of the road, typically, when they're driving their road cars. So just comfort, really. Some people like to sit on the left, others like to sit on the right. The center seat cars have been very, very popular in the North American market, particularly at the country clubs. I think some people do like that open wheel feel of being in a center cockpit scenario, but honestly, it just comes down to driver preference and what makes people feel comfortable.
Can the weight affect, when they're going around the corners, if it's a clockwise track, an anti-clockwise track, would you want to be on, a different side so you have better view coming out of the corners? Is there any advantages there?
Look, I'm sure if you speak to a few different engineers, they're going to have their opinions on that, and certainly in theory that is the case, but I think in practice it really just does come down to driver comfort. And of course, with the adjustability in the suspension, particularly the rear push rods being adjustable, you can corner weight the cars very easily. But no, the cars are fantastic. Obviously a spec racing car. There's 3 classes that are competing in these world finals. The SR10, 425 brake horsepower. The SR3 1500, the Pro 1500 class, 1500cc variant of the SR3 chassis. And then the 1340 is a 1340cc engine in that SR3. But right now, it's time to go down to Chris Milbourne on the grid.
Well, a very good morning to you those who are watching around the world. Welcome to Abu Dhabi, but more importantly, welcome to the Radical World Finals. One of the stars from yesterday is our very own Usman Magali. Races in the Gulf Radical Cup. He's very quick, and he had a great battle with that man right there, Ian Aguilera. Now, Usman, you've raced against a lot of these guys before, but there's some newcomers, but you've really shown true pacing and given yourself a boost of confidence.
Yeah, we had a good result yesterday in Heat 1 and Heat 2, I'd say, so first and second. So we're equal on points with Ian Aguilera, and 2 more races to go.
Well, this race is a bit different, obviously, with a 45-minute enduro, but you used to this kind of stuff in the Gulf Radical Cup. What's the strategy here for this third heat race?
To be honest with you, they call it an endurance, but it's basically a flat-out sprint with a little pit stop in the middle, so that's the strategy, just drive as fast as possible.
And I saw you talking to Rick yesterday after heat race 2, and you were speaking to him this morning. Are you giving some insights on how to drive the track a little bit better?
Yeah, he's improved dramatically. This is his first race weekend, and what a stage to be on at the World Final, so it's great for our team, great for Relentless Racing.
Well, good luck, Usman. Make the UAE proud here at the Gulf Radical Cup and, of course, Pakistan. As you see, the grid is filling up. Why don't we have a quick chat now with Ian Aguilera, one of our regulars in the Gulf Radical Cup as well. And as you said, Usman and Ian are 2 of our championship protagonists, and both of them are very quick. A win apiece for both of them. But, Ian, it hasn't been made easy for you here with the rest of the field filled with talent from around the world, but you've really kept your own.
Can you say that again?
What are you feeling now going into this race here? You and Usman had a great battle yesterday. You are a star of the Gulf Radical Cup, but now you're a star of the Radical World Finals.
Yeah, I mean, last heat race before the final, I think it's just about collecting points for the big one, the important one, so I'll try to keep it tidy, no incidents or anything, just finish and see what we can do.
So you did an enduro 2 weeks ago here at the Gulf Radical Cup. What's the strategy? Are you going to do a similar one here?
I think we can push a bit more this time as we've got new tyres. Normally we don't, so I think I can attack the tyres more, and hopefully it all goes well.
Well, good luck, Ian. I know you're starting alongside Usman Magal, so a fresh set of tyres, and I see that Barry Hope is here. Barry, you ran the championship for many years. It seems to be every time we have it, it gets bigger and bigger, and you always come back for more. Have you got that itch to run it again?
Absolutely. It's fantastic to see this event, because this is probably the biggest event Radical has ever had in the most expensive, the best facility in the world. So drivers here from all over the world enjoying this billion-dollar facility, and we've got all the top drivers. It's not very often you get the best drivers from around the world doing the same race.
And 32 of them. It's absolutely phenomenal. This is the biggest grid that we've had here at the Aston Marina for the Radicals.
It is. It's taken a while. We've been working at this for about 20 years, but I mean, look what's happening here. It's just sensational.
It's 20 to 6, Barry. It's always great to see you. Have a great day. But you can see here the field is massive. 32 radicals. I'll throw it up to the booth because what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to show all the way down to the end and get a quick word with Rick Parrish.
Well, you heard there, Sarah, that tyres is going to play a role. And, of course, Ian Aguilera on new rubber for this one. So we'll see who else will have brand new boots when it comes to race 3, heat 3. And as Chris was alluding to, and I think Ian as well, the points. That's what it's about. Finishing position to generate a point score that will set the grid for the final. So consistency over these heat races is absolutely key.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we take a look and see who we have on the grid? We just saw then Jack Yang, who is in eighth position. Let's run from the back, shall we? So in 32, we've got Saeed Al-Mouri, and alongside him is Rick Parrish. Just in front of them in row 15 is Eric Andrews, followed by John Hughes alongside him. Then we have in row 14, Marcel Kopp and Robert Burgess. Moving forward, we have Lee Jackson, David Evans, and in front of them in row 12, we have Jahid Karim and Jacopo Faccioni, and in front of them we have George Harding, Alexander Nochikov. We have in 20 we have Banksy and Joel Strider. In front of them on row 9 we have Johnny Kazoom and Rob Greenwood, and over in row 8 Fujinami and Ibi Hadid. Just in front of them we have Julian Moni and Andrew Lowe, and up in row 6 we have Amir Fayzulin and Jordan Missig. We'll talk about Jordan Missig later on. Very interesting story there, but he's made it on the grid this morning. And in row 5, we have Chris Preen and Suelio Almeida, Jack Yang, Christian Brooks in 7th, and we have Usman Mughal and Ian Aguilera in 5th. And then over in the second row on the grid, we have Sebastian Murray and Oscar Joyce, who had an incredible drive yesterday. And in the first row of the grid, we have Greg Gorski, and in pole, we have Alim Gashev.
It's going to be very, very interesting to see what Greg Gorski can do. Speaking to him last night, he was considering whether he would try and go around the outside. Of course, Alim Gashev has been ultra quick. No doubt the class of the field in terms of these platinum class cars, and it's definitely had more pace. But what will he race like? And I think that's what Greg Gorski in the 24 machine is hoping for, that he can apply some pressure and even get into the lead on an early opening lap and perhaps set the pace of the race rather than have a limb stretch his legs. Gorski certainly thinks that Oscar Joyce, he thinks he's got Oscar Joyce's match. I'm sure that young Oscar, will think the exact opposite there, but they're definitely fighting it out for second in class, if not first, depending on how the race goes for Alim Gashev.
Yeah, definitely. I saw Greg doing a lot of preparation with his race engineer earlier on this morning, so I think he is very much fired up. Well, Chris is back from the grid. He didn't quite make it to the back of the grid in time, but he's here, and I'm going to be handing over him to take you through the formation lap and get the race underway.
And as we just saw, Rob Greenwood from the UK, he's one of the lucky ones to have an onboard camera today. I believe the other camera will be with one of our Canadians. And in fact, it's Chris Preen, the other driver, to have an onboard today. So fantastic to see Greenwood and Preen with the onboards. Lots of action further back in that Pro 1500 pack. And when I say further back, you know, those are two drivers that are still have everything to fight for. Chris Preen starts from row 5, 10th on the grid. And he is one that we'll be looking for. Now, Rick Parrish, the Aussie, and in fact, our title sponsor, Kinetic 7 driver, has got an issue there on the grid. So car 20 has not gone anywhere so far. You can see just a flicker of the yellow flag waving at the moment. So I wonder, oh, here he goes. So that's good news. The start will not be, will certainly not be delayed. But Rick Parrish with some extra work to do. Would you believe this is first weekend racing competitively out here in the World Finals? And Chris, I mean, what an amazing job he's doing generally. He's had some reasonably strong results for a driver with relatively little radical experience, but an amazing atmosphere to jump into first weekend racing competitively in a radical.
Of course, and I'm glad I didn't get a chance to speak to him at the end, because he would have blamed the commentators for cursing him for the car not starting when the formation lap began. But yeah, Rick Patterson, fantastic job. We see his name all the time on the side of Usman Magal's car, and always wait every time in the Gulf Radical Cup, is he appearing? Is he going to be driving Usman Magal? But this weekend, here he is on the global stage of the Radical World Finals, powered by Connectic 7. And what a fantastic race. It's a 45-minute enduro. This is going to be very, very interesting. And every time we race here in the United Arab Emirates of the Gulf Radical Cup, the enduros always deliver a different winner. It's not always the same driver that wins the sprint races, because endurance is something completely different. There's a more strategy behind it. You have to really think very carefully, especially when it comes to timing. You have to be stationary in that pit box for 45 seconds. And if you go any lower than that, you're getting a penalty. And it can be 1/1000th of a second.
And I can tell you, having been lucky enough to, put my helmet on a few times, 45 seconds stationary seems like an absolute eternity when you can hear the cars powering past you on the front straightaway. You're sitting there anxious, the heart rate's up, and you've just got to remain calm. You've got to make sure that that getaway is absolutely perfect, because you can't afford to have a second or a few seconds delay from a stall and having to refire the cars. And as we saw in earlier races, when someone's made a spin, that reset process is quite long in the Radical. Sometimes you've actually got to turn the car completely off to cycle through the alarms that come on once a stall happens. So it's very, very important that that you've got to make sure the pit stop is perfect. But right now you can see the cars side by side. Look at these stunning sights under the bridge of the W Hotel and the Yas Marina circuit. This couldn't be a better place to bring folks from all around the world to enjoy what they love doing, radical racing, and the Radical World Finals, the final heat here at Yas Marina before the big one, the winner-takes-all finale tomorrow afternoon. Chris, take it away.
Here we go. 32 engines have roared to life. I'll let Greg Gorski give you a quick wave to the fans there at the W Hotel. A wonderful sight to see there, that everyone's embracing the atmosphere. Everyone is enjoying it and loving the Radical World Finals. For the third time it's taking place, but the first time here in the Middle East. Alim Gushev and Greg Gorski on the front row of the grid. Alim Gushev on the right-hand side, and with green flag racing here, we are going down towards turn one. 32 Radicals stream their way across the line, and look at that sight. 4, 5, possibly even 6 wide. Is that Ibi Hadid on the left-hand side? Has sort of a bit of a lock-up on the right-hand side. Is that Johnny Kazuma's run wide as well?
Great start by Christian Brooks too. He had a cracker of a start. It's already made up multiple places in Pro 1500 as they're all duking it out side by side through the high-speed section of this circuit.
Seb Murray's also got a fantastic start as well. He's already got past both Usman Magal, Ian Aguilera and Christian Brooks, despite starting behind them. Now remember, he had problems, and that's the 15. That is Amir Faisalin, a winner in an endurance round a couple of years ago, and that is devastating news for one of our local drivers here. Amir Faisalin is okay, so that must have been the end of what we saw there. We did see a lock-up through turn one, and that is very unfortunate for Amir Faisalin. He's got driver coaching from the likes of James Winslow, George King. He's got a stellar lineup behind him.
Well, he's been ultra quick this week. He started from 12th on the grid, and we're right on board now with Rob Greenwood. So he's got through that commotion, and most of the drivers have. It looks like just a single car that is stationary down there, but the safety car has been deployed. And so we'll pick up the field in the order, so you can see Oscar Joyce, Greg Gorski running line astern, or side by side rather. I don't know if they've sorted out who was who when the full course caution came out. Suelio Almeida coming through screen there in the 333. Jack Yang is another one to watch, but it was Christian Brooks who got a great start. So we'll just try and pick up that order as they come through. And there's Christian Brooks. I think he is ahead of Ian Aguilera.
And it looks like Oscar Joyce also got the jump on Greg Gorski on the opening stages as well. Ian Aguilera's dropped behind Usman Magal, despite starting further up the order. He was actually second in class.
Yeah, and Brooks has got them both, I believe.
Great start there from Christian Brooks. Not a great way to start the first the race of the day, the final heat race as well on our 45-minute enduro. This is good news for Rick Parrish, though, who had that disaster of a start. It's allowed him now to close up with the field, because remember, he did stall on the opening stages of the formation lap. Now, I do wonder if Amir came in contact with anybody else, because that car to me doesn't look like it spun round and hit a wall. That looks like the bumper has come off due to somebody else. So I wonder if someone has rear damage, but we can't see who exactly it is. Into the pit lane comes Alim Gashev, Oscar Joyce, and Greg Gorski.
In fact, they're all coming in.
Which is rather interesting, because...
they're coming in to get out of the way.
Exactly.
So the race director's done the right thing, decided to send the pace car through, or the safety car through pit lane. Of course, here, that's fantastic, because you go down below under the underpass there, and you manage to skip all the chaos and carnage in turn one. So a good call there, but it certainly caught us by surprise. I was just thinking that pit stop window doesn't open for another 10 minutes or so.
Because obviously yesterday we did have some red flags in various sessions, so a lot of the fields were neutralized and told to come back in. So I was wondering, maybe the drivers thought it was a red flag period, but because the incident isn't down in turn one, this is why they are being directed through the pit lane. And I think something they're going to have to be cautious of here is the pit blend line as well.
Now, I just noticed good news for those American fans following the champion, Jordan Missig. He's made it up to 10th position. 10th position. He's just behind Suelio Almeida. So the two Graham Rahal Performance teammates in the USA are Linus Stern, of course, Suelio Almeida racing for Golf Sport this weekend. But Sebastian Murray, Ian Aguilera, Usman Magal, Kristen Brooks. Wow, what an amazing star-studded field of Pro 1500 drivers. Any one of those top 6 drivers could win this race. And Greg Gorski's got a lot to prove as well, but I was going to say the 48 of Jordan Missig, he's going to be a man on a mission. They discovered quite a few things on the spare car that they had to jump into after the engine failure in Heat Race 1. Quite a few things were not quite right in Heat Race 2. In fact, he'd also had a mishap on the way to the grid. Backed it into the wall. The rear wing was actually certainly not on the angle that they'd want. And so running a lot more drag. And if you recall in yesterday's race, we could see the speed. Even though Jordan was firing it down the inside under brakes, he just didn't have any straight line speed when he was in those battles. So keep an eye out for the 48. That's a orange and black car.
And the car has been removed from turn one, which means we could go racing this time round. Also, another driver to note is Alexander Nochikov, currently sat in 16th. Not the best races yesterday. He did celebrate his birthday as well, and it was not the present that he wanted. He would prefer to walk away with a podium, but for the number 8 driver, who also participates in the Gulf Radical Cup, made his debut 2 weeks ago, is up, and he is up in the thick of things as well, almost in the top half of the field. Well, actually, he is in the middle of the field, sitting 16th at the moment. Greg Gorski, as you said, he lost out to Oscar Joyce. I've also noticed that we have another Platinum driver all the way down in 21st for David Evans. Now, that's quite far back from the other 3 Platinum cars.
Absolutely. So David Evans could be one to watch, certainly as a hard charger through the field when this race gets back underway. And that could be an interesting dynamic for the Pro 1500 drivers around him. Robert Burgess has converted his pole yet again into an early lead. We saw a pretty good battle, though, in the Pro 1340 class yesterday between the Canadians. Sonny Andrews sits in second, John Hughes in third, but they're running Linus Stern, so that'll be another one to watch for once we get back underway. The other driver that I was just noticing is sort of in the mix is Andy Lowe. Car 4 sits in 11th outright at the moment, just behind Jordan Missig, and this is a good opportunity for the British driver to charge hard and sort of latch onto the back of the 48 machine. It's going to be good to see some of the racing from the onboard cameras. You can see everyone's getting pretty antsy to go back to green.
And we do that right now. The safety car has pulled in. So we're back to green flag racing here around the Yas Marina circuit. The third heat race of the Radical World Finals. And what a start it is. There's a lot of gaps being formed, though, all over the place. A lot of drivers being caught napping. We see there's already some moves being made before the start-finish line as well, as Ibi Hadid is under pressure already.
And Jordan Missig's very, very close to the back of the gearbox of Suelio Almeida. You can see there the aggression, the stance of the car, the 333, the red and white car, as we now look at the front of the field. And Alimka Jashev hasn't pulled away a move there.
From Ian Aguilera on the inside of Usman Magal, trying to take second away.
So lots of action as we get back underway. A few drivers being perhaps a little cautious on relatively cold tyres. Of course, we didn't get much green action before that full course caution came out. Riding on board now, and I think that's with Rob Greenwood. So it is indeed down this long straightaway, big braking zone as they come into the chicane. And a very, very tight switchback, and just as I say that, the car 5 has had to run wide, taking avoiding action. Usain Magal, and he's really lost out there.
That was Johnny Kazoum being pushed out wide by looks to be Alexander Nochikov. These two know each other very well from racing in the Golf Radical Cup. Didn't expect those two to start tussling already. Johnny Kazoum's had quite an interesting race weekend as well. An incident with Greg Gorski in race 1, but he said to me this morning he's really enjoying himself out here, and he's really enjoying the fact that he's got 31 other radicals to race against here. Not just the local guys that race here in the Golf Radical Cup, but the best radical drivers from around the world. Of course, that's what the Radical World Finals are for, to bring the best of the best to one location for 4 epic races. And of course, later on today, it's all to play for. Current race leader Alim Gashem makes his way across the line in Pro 1500, though Christian Brooks, who started in, I think it was actually 4th place he started in class. We've got some more argy-bargy here. That's Suelio Almeida. Now, who's he fighting with? Was that Jack Yang or Chris Preed? It didn't look like Jack Yang's car, though. That looks
33.
like Chris Preed's.
I think it actually is Jack Yang. But Jack Yang has been eclipsed now by Jordan Missig, who's still on a charge forward. So Usman Magal will have his mirrors full of that red and orange car. And there is the tussle between Jack Yang, who's managed to get ahead of the 333 of Suelio Almeida, who at the moment is falling into the clutches of Chris Preen. So Almeida not with the strongest of starts, just trying to find his feet again as we have more side-by-side action further back. And
I see that Yahid Kano has made his way up into the 23rd position. There is Ian Aguilera, and it looks like Usman Magal has lost out on another position. There he is, and he's a lot further back than he'd like to be from the top step of the podium in Pro 1500, and now he's under pressure from Jordan Missig. But I have a feeling Jordan might have gone through because, or is that Sebastian Murray that's dropped back? Actually, it might be Murray who's come back, so that means Christian Brooks still leads. Ian Aguilera now second. Sebastian Murray's lost out to Ian Aguilera. Usman Magal has lost out, or is about to lose out actually, to the Jordan Missig car, who had issues yesterday. Great to see him running strong here as well. Yol Strider loses out, so does Ibi Hadid. But I did also notice Sid Al Muri has moved up as well, up in the 27th here around the Yas Marina circuit. There is Christian Brooks, our race leader in Pro 1500, and he's trying to escape Ian Aguilera, but we've seen him race before here in the United Arab Emirates. He is mighty quick, and he does know this Yas Marina circuit well.
Christian Brooks has finished on the podium twice already this weekend, but he wants to take the top step, and as this weekend crescendos into the final, this is the time now to really find your feet, find the pace around this fantastic circuit. And it's all coming together for Christian Brooks.
And with that win today, if he gets it, that will give him a real confidence boost going to heat race number 4, where it's all to play for, where the big title is on the line for the Radical World Finals 2024, right here in the United Arab Emirates.
Jordan Missig running 5th in class at the moment. We'll see what he can do.
I've noticed that the 33, 333 and 3 are all running together as well.
Jack Yang looking really racy on the back of Missig then as well. He took a fair chunk of time out of Missig down into that braking zone. You can see now Jack Yang all over the back of the 48 machine and has a look to the outside.
We've got a great five-way battle here for what would be 4th overall in Pro 1500. Usman Magal, Jordan Missig, Jack Yang, Sueli Almeida, and Chris Preen wants to be a part of this as Jack Yang looks on the inside of Missig. He's got the inside line for the corner and he takes it away.
These two guys know each other well, racing in the Radical Cup North America Series. Jack Yang has taken a win this year, but it was Missig who was crowned champion after a stellar performance all year long. Now, if it was me, I would be looking over towards the other cockpit and gesturing forward that we've got to work together, work with each other to close the gap ahead. They can't afford, these guys, to let the front runners of Christian Brooks, Ian Aguilera pull away, because Sebastian Murray, well, actually it's Usain Magal who's holding this pack up in effect, and the front runners, the top three, have really checked out.
And what's interesting though is we were riding on board with Greenwood before, Rob Green with the 47 car. I noticed something on his dashboard that I didn't see at any of the onboards that we saw yesterday. And if we can go back to a shot of it, I'll tell you more of what I saw there. There is a small white digital reader. Now, I originally thought it was a calculator, and then I thought, no, there's not enough buttons on there to be a calculator. Also, why would a driver need a calculator? You can't calculate while he's driving. But now I put two and two together. I presume that is a pit stop timer, so they can get that pit stop exactly at 45 seconds.
Absolutely, a side by side, and a great pass there. That's Fujiyami, I think, in the 87. Is it?
It would be, and that was Alexander Nochikov that he was going back past.
The 67 rather.
So
yeah.
Alexander got through and past him because just up the road is Johnny Kazoum from Lebanon, and then behind him is Alexander Nochikov from here in the United Arab Emirates.
How good is this? 3 different nationalities running line astern. This is what World Finals is all about. And to see so many drivers, as we keep mentioning, culminate here after their own championships and battle it out for bragging rights as down into the braking zone. And taking a shortcut, and that's very, very close. Suelio Almeida lucky not to have Chris Preen wipe him out on the switchback on that chicane. And it's very, very tight down there. Doing the track walk, it's amazing. It's like an absolute bus stop. And Chris Preen getting it all out of shape on the exit of the first left-hander and nearly taking Suelio Almeida out.
And Tom, we've had our first pit stop here, Marcel Kopp, but the thing is, he's come in before the 17-minute mark. So this pit stop,
won't
if
count.
he goes back out, exactly right, he will not count as Usman Magal has run wide.
Now, does he have a problem? He's pulling off. So the 21, Usman Magal, who's taken a race win, who is right up there. For this one, it's all gone pear-shaped for Usman Magal.
And that's the second issue now for Revolution Racing because Rick Parrish, his teammate.
Now, this could have implications for the pit stop window, because if there is a safety car, that'll extend the window by 6 minutes, I believe. So typically, the window is 9 minutes from the time the board is displayed. If the full course caution comes out, I suspect we'll see every driver pit immediately under the safety car. Why wouldn't you? And secondly, we could see the pit window be extended. So this could have implications if the race director deems that car to be in a bad spot. But here we go. So you can see offline already. It doesn't appear that he had a moment or anything like that, but just lost power. And we've seen a couple of cars, unfortunately, this weekend suffer from engine issues. Yeah, disaster there. And that has a few implications, not just for this race and bragging rights for this heat race, but of course, he'll drop in points. So unfortunately, he's going to start a little bit further back than he'd like to for this final race this afternoon.
It looks like Nochikov's got back past not Ibidin, but Fujinami, so moves himself up into 14th. It looks like Usman Magal's got going again. So for the drivers, unfortunately, there will be no safety car. Marcel Kopp has gone back out as well. Usman Magal's made his way into the pit lane, which is great news. So he's got that car back, but again, he's come in just before. He's about 40 seconds too early for this to count as his actual pit stop. But of course, there are further issues than just the tyres being changed and a quick top-up of refreshments.
So Jashev has started another race. Oscar Joyce now sits in second. Of course, he eclipsed Greg Gorski early on. We saw him do that just before the safety car came out. Greg Gorski is in third place. Christian Brooks leads Pro 1500. Sebastian Murray's now taken over second in class. Ian Aguilera has fallen back a little bit. Jack Yang sits fourth. Jordan Missig fifth. Swelio Almeida sixth. Chris Preen seventh. Andy Lowe rounds out the top 8.
And we're now with 17 minutes elapsed successfully of this race. The pit window now is officially open, but before the drivers can come in, yes, they have team radios, they must see that the pit window is open when they drive past the start-finish line. So our top 5 essentially did not see that board. I think from Jack Yang onwards, they have seen it. So they already know that the pit window is open and they can come in. There is Usman Magal. Now, there's no damage to the car anyway. He's not hit a wall or anything. It just seemed like you said before, Tom, it just lost power.
Yeah, disaster for him, but good news for a couple of other drivers because they're going to be trying to calculate points. And right back in the shot, we can see a tremendous battle going on further back in the pack. So we'll see who blinks first, who tries the undercut, who stays out in fresh air. That's going to be the big news of the pit stops. The other news for those that are following on from Canada, for the Canadians running line astern, it's Robert Burgess that's still in the lead of Pro 1340 from Eric Andrews, and John Hughes sits third. They're running down in 24th, 25th and 26th respectively.
Now, just watching closely Ian Aguilera through turn 9, the steering wheel was going pretty much all over the place there. I wonder if he's fighting with that car a bit much than he'd like to. I've also noted that Yahid Kardam has come in. Now, he came in before he saw that the pit window was open. So the team have relayed him to come in, but he has not seen that board, and that means he'll get a penalty.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think a lot of teams are going to be hot on these rules and making sure that everyone else down pit lane is playing by the rule book. Of course, with drivers coming from around the world, and also we've had a spin, so the 99 goes round after a small touch there on the back, and another one's gone in, so car 50 as well. And
Joel Strider, and the 50 is Jacopo Facchino.
And unfortunately for the Italian, the rear wing has folded down. In fact, both of them, I think, are going to suffer from... No, 99's okay, but that's disaster for the Italian.
Now, that's very interesting how those two do it, because here's a replay of what happened. That's Ibi Hadid in front of Joel Strider. Now, is there any contact between the two of them?
Yeah, Strider just got into the back, and you could see, actually, Ibi Hadid was very, very lucky to escape that. He didn't get turned around himself, but a self-imposed penalty, if you like, for the 99. And unfortunately, he's got away with that a little bit better than our Italian star, because unfortunately, when that backed in, the rear wing just got caught on the bodywork of the other car and it folded down. So unfortunately, he's probably going to get a black flag.
There is Johnny Kazoum, the Lebanese driver, who is well, he's been in the championship of the Gulf Radical Cup for a number of years, and it looks like the green flag pit stops have started here. Johnny Kazoum now under pressure from Alexander Nochikov there. It's having a fantastic race. Is Alexander here up into 13th at the moment. Both of these two pushing further towards the top 10 as well. Angelo's come out, Banksy's gone in. Jacopo in the 24 car, the Italian who we saw unfortunately backing up into the 99 car with that damage, is in the pit lane as well.
And Chris Preen has got past Swelio Almeida. So Swelio Almeida not particularly happy, I'd say, with the setup of the 333 at the moment. He just doesn't look comfortable in this race. Early on, he looked strong. It looked as though he might have it enough pace to pursue Jordan Missig, but right now he keeps falling back. As we see another car, that's one of the Canadians. So that's Robert Burgess trundling through pit lane just after completing his pit stop. The dark horse this race, Seb Murray, looking very, very strong in Pro 1500.
You're right about that, and I remember his story from yesterday when Sarah spoke to him. This was a last-minute addition to the Radical World Finals. He got a call Thursday saying, "We have a car, would you like to race?" And he said, "Of course, yes, I'll come." He was very quick in qualifying. He put it on the pole straight away, but he just did not have the best races yesterday. Today, though, he is in the lead. He leads ahead of Christian Brooks in the Pro 1500 as we have more cars trickling into the pit lane. Now, remember, it's a very short window. It does seem like there's a long time frame between it, but it's only open for around 9 minutes, which give or take about 3 laps. They have to be stationary for 45 seconds, and the good thing today is, well, they are sat in the shade, so they don't have to boil in the heat there, because mind you, yes, it is the morning here, but it was already warm at 9 o'clock this morning when we were on the track.
I tell you what, the conditions in the morning time over breakfast at the W Hotel, in the evening having dinner, it's just fantastic. And being an Aussie, you don't mind the sunshine either during the middle of the day. It is stunning. I am absolutely thoroughly impressed with everything that the United Arab Emirates has to offer. It has been a tremendous place to hold the Radical World Finals presented by Kinetic 7. And Golf Sport, I commend everyone, Martin, Fred, their entire crew for the event that they have put on behalf of Radical. Hats off to Golf Sport, because it really has been a good run. Now you could see Jordan Missing trundling in there for the pits. Plenty of action down in pit lane.
And it's getting very busy now is where a mistake can happen. A minor misjudgment of where someone's coming through, maybe a slight tap, but look at the top 10. We have a lot of cars from the top 10 currently in the pit lane. Alim Gashev, Oscar Joyce. There is the 33 of Jack Yang.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see who gets caught up in a bit of traffic. The congestion for some of these teams running multiple cars is going to be rather intense, and hopefully they've tried to stage manage the pit stops between their drivers, but it's quite conceivable that we'll see people double stacking and getting in each other's way.
As, of course, what will happen here as well during the pit stop cycle, we'll have a new race leader. Well, Alim Gashev, I think he was far enough up the road from Oscar Joyce by 9 seconds. Greg Gorski's gone back out already, so has Sebastian Murray, Ian Aguilera, Jack Yang, Jordan Missing, Chris Preet, Suelio Almeida, with the rest of the field, including Ibi Hadid in the pit lane as well. Jacopo down in 28th is getting a new rear wing fitted to the car. A 10-second time penalty has been added to the car number 67. That is Fujinami down in 16th for overtaking for off the track.
Yeah, well, I've thought generally race control's been, reasonably lenient when it comes to people just giving each other space. But of course, gaining an advantage off the track is a big no-no. And certainly with modern Formula One tracks, there's always a lot of runoff to consume. There's our sole SR8 in the field, the 87.
Who's currently circulating in 18th. Idal Mori way down at the beginning of this race, but has done a great job to carve his way through the field up into the top 20. Of course, one of our drivers hailing from right here in the GCC.
Yeah, but not used to circuit racing, does a lot of hill climbing and things like that in that SR8. So great to see him participating in the World Finals. That's the wonderful thing about sending this event all around the world, is we have another little altercation there. The 60 running wide, and the 99 yet again involved in some action.
And that was George Harding being run wide through turn 15, or the exit of turn 15. He got back on track relatively easily, but Joel Strider there being a bit feisty.
Yeah, Joel Strider just has to watch himself. It's I'm surprised, if you like, that he hasn't got a penalty yet for that altercation earlier on, but don't wish him that, mind you. If he can get away with it, good luck. Now, Oscar Joyce has fallen back a little bit.
And I thought that Greg Gorski came in first. He didn't. Greg Gorski's just coming out of the pit lane now, so he left it to that very last lap before the pit window closes. So Greg Gorski now shown as the race leader. He's ahead of this man right here, Oscar Joyce. But what has happened to Alim Gashev? Because it looks like he's fallen back behind Oscar Joyce.
Well, I think the thing is they're in the pit lane at the moment, so I think that's the challenge we've got until this order sort of cycles through with the pit stops occurring at various times. We're just a little bit blind up here in terms of the outright order or the effective order of this race, but great action yet again from the Pro 1500 class.
And that's Usman Magal, the 21. So the team have got that car sorted out.
Christian Brooks going to the inside. A great move by Christian Brooks, and we've seen his pace. In fact, he was, you know, he's been ultra quick again on the podium multiple times. But some work to do as that pit stop cycle has played out.
And the pit stop window has now come to an end. It actually looked like it came to an end a bit earlier than expected to, but I'm very interested actually in Usman Magal's pit stop because he came in before that 17-minute mark. He's still circulating, and behind him is his Relentless Racing teammate, Rick Parrish, of course the owner of the team and the owner of Kinetic 7, who of course powering this amazing event here, the Radical World Finals. As up on the inside goes Ian Aguilera on him. Now Usman Magal would really like to challenge for this overall top step of the podium in Pro 1500, but because of that issue, he is a lap down.
Now Greg Gorski is showing on his outlap, so he's back out of pit lane. There was our race leader, certainly before the round of pit stops, the James Winslow Racing 77 of Alim Jassev. And motoring past using all of that 425 brake horsepower of that SR10 machine. And you can see the difference. It's great, the dynamics of this circuit with these long sweepers and high-speed sections. The SR3 handles so well, a perfectly balanced machine. The SR10 struggles a little bit with that extra weight, but of course, once you get onto the straightaway, that extra horsepower of the EcoBoost Ford engine powers through. And great to see all three classes that we so often see, certainly in the North American Cup and around the world, racing here at the World Finals.
So it looks like Christian Brooks has cycled into the lead once again in Pro 1500, and Alim Gashev has gone back into the race lead. There he is.
But Greg Gorski has leapfrogged Oscar Joyce in the round of pit stops. So Gorski now takes over second place. And it looks like Joyce has fallen back a reasonable amount.
And we have a spin there. That is the 32 that's gone round on the exit of turn 6. The 32 is Yahid Kardem. He has not had the best race weekend here, but of course a regular in the Gulf Radical Cup. He's just got it unfortunately all wrong there at turn 6, and he's waiting for his opportunity to exit through onto turn 7. Not where he wanted to be. Here it is. He lost it all by his lonesome. I think he's just on the power a bit too early.
You could just see the car got unsettled. He took too much inside curb, and the car was unsettled. In fact, the drivers have to be ultra careful around here. There's a couple of places, including that one, where there's a giant bollard that's been molded, a concrete bollard that sits just inside the curbing. And then there is a tall bollard that's a great line of sight. It's, you know, the drivers can see it, but of course they're focused on that. It's easy to take off too much curb and just unsettle the cars, even collect a little bit of damage on that front splitter.
Sorry, just very excited to be here at the Radical World Finals. 15 minutes just over left on the clock here for our first 45-minute race of the weekend. It is the only 45-minute race that we have, but we have all to play for the Radical World Finals. Tom, what have you spotted?
The other big mix-up is Jack Yang now sits third in Pro 1500. So the order is Christian Brooks, Ian Aguilera, Jack Yang, and then it's back to Jordan Missig. So somewhere in that, Sebastian Murray's had a disastrous run in terms of pit stops. We saw...
We're down in 15th at the moment there. Car 66 receives a penalty now for track limits. It doesn't say where exactly. Car 66 is, I think that's the other Japanese driver, if I'm not mistaken. Car 66, I'm trying to find him on the timing screens. It's Banksy, thank you so much, Sarah, there, who has received a penalty for track limits. Yahid Kardem is coming to the pit lane, so I don't think all is well with that 32.
Rob Greenwood's having a stellar run as well. He's up to 10th outright, sits behind Swelio Almeida. And we're just watching
Rick Parrish there work his way through turn 2. He did not have the best starts, but now up into 26th position, tucked up behind John Hughes. As Tom mentioned earlier in the show, is Johnny Kazum and Alexander Nochikov taking the fight to one another once again here. This is the battle for 12th, and this was actually before the pit stop started, during the pit stop cycle, and Alexander is on the inside through turn 5. Can he get the move
big
started?
lock up and a
Johnny
spin.
Kazum goes round.
I don't actually think they touched. They were both on the absolute limit of traction. And unfortunately for Kazum, he's gone round. So just a local yellow. I got a bit excited before because there was yellows up on the screen as well, but it was just local. So
It was a lock-up, and here's the replay again. You can see on the inside, Alexander has the line, but they just fight with one another. And as Tom said, there's no contact. Johnny just lost it in the braking zone.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. You can see how much each driver is pushing each other. And for Kazoom, just a little bit too late on the brakes.
And that's very unfortunate for the Lebanese driver. This race weekend has not gone the way he'd like it. It seems to be the races of the morning are the ones that are not the ones that he gets his way. And unfortunately, there is Greg Gorski, the man that sits in second position. He's losing more and more time to the race leader. It was the gap during the pit stop cycle was 9 seconds. It's gone up to 19 seconds.
I think the trouble is he's come back out in traffic, and Robert Burgess just ahead of him. He should be the race leader in Pro 1340. He is indeed, and behind him car 8, but Robert Burgess, there's multi-classes, and at the moment they're all intermingled.
And look who that is on the left-hand side of your picture going past the 1340s. That is Oscar Joyce. He wants to retake second place here from Greg Gorski in the Platinum category, but the leader in Pro 1500 has got a decent-sized gap.
And Eric Andrews looking really racy. It was at car 6, not car 8. So Eric Andrews fighting for first place in Pro 1340. As again, more side-by-side action, and this racetrack just produces fantastic. You can see the big bollard down on screen.
And it's always turn 6. That's a hot spot. Turn 6 and 7. And now we will see some action at turn 9 as we go side-by-side through turn 8. On the right-hand side is that very vibrant yellow and blue Radical. I think that's Marcel Kopp there around the outside, because it's very similar to his livery that he runs in Golf Radical Cup. Now he's doing battle with
that was the
Rick
82.
Parrish, but Rick Parrish is a bit further back.
Yeah, and John Hughes is in that mix as well in the Golf liveried car.
And it was the 18 there, so it was Marcel Kopp, but
There's Ian Aguilera.
Now, who is Marcel Kopp doing battle with? Because that's not Rick Parrish's car. That's Alexander Nochikov gone round. And that is the corner after he had the incident with Johnny Kazoom on the previous lap. Now, I do wonder, is fatigue starting to settle in here? Because yesterday we ran 2 25-minute races, and it is a lot warmer than it was yesterday.
I honestly think this is the challenge now with this longer race and the pit stops, that all of the classes are intermingled. People are trying to have their own battles, carve their way up through traffic, and it's just testing the limits. But absolutely, it's a longer race. Drivers have had the time to think about almost too much as they've stopped for that 45 seconds, and now they're having to find their groove amongst traffic and out of position cars.
Now, Sid Al-Mouri is coming in the pit lane, the only driver in the field from Saudi Arabia. Now, I wonder if this is his second pit stop or this is his first pit stop. I didn't pick up if he went in before. Now, I can see on the timing screens, this is his third trip to the pit lane, so he might have an issue, which is very unfortunate for the driver from Saudi Arabia. As Tom said before, he's more used to racing up a hill rather than just going up and down and around the track. So a lot of experience. Hill climbing is very popular here, especially during the cooler months in the region. Liwa, which is about a 2-hour drive from where we are right now, holds one of the biggest motoring festivals that the UAE has to offer.
Swilio Almeida trying to hunt Chris Preen down, and Rob Greenwood just behind him. So whilst running line astern, you can see the space between those drivers on the racetrack.
Now it looks like Seb Murray has got back up through as well, because he's passed Alexander Nochikov and Fujinami as well. Now I did see flashes of orange.
And there was our leader, Christian Brooks, in Pro 1500.
And there is Ian Aguilera, only sat about 3 seconds back from him at the moment. And you make that 4 seconds back as we have another car.
Very, very wide for Christian Brooks.
And that is going to put some dirt on the tyres. That's going to slow him down. And, of course, Ian Aguilera saw that and thought, right, Christian's getting tired. This is my turn to pounce.
And they're carving through the Pro 1340 battle, and this is the challenge. The Canadians are having their own race for the lead in Pro 1340. That's Sonny Andrews right there, who now gets passed by another. That's Ian Aguilera that goes past. So whilst the front runners in Pro 1500 are duking it out, the front runners in Pro 1340 are, and that's what's leading to drivers running wide, no one wants to give an inch when they're having their own battles for the win.
Of course, and when you're fighting for a time yourself or the points in 1340, you want to stay as close as possible, but with the 1500s carving their way through, this is spoiling your party, it's spoiling your lead here.
Now, the one thing I would say is we saw Ian run wide, but I don't think that'll have an effect from race control's perspective because it isn't within class. So I would suspect they would see that as no harm, no foul. Everyone's trying to give each other a little bit of racing room and live to fight another day with their own championships at play. But this is getting pretty racy right now.
And we're getting into a stage now, what we didn't experience yesterday with a 25-minute race. We're now starting to see the quicker cars get bunched up with the 1500s and the 1340s. We see Alim Geshev try to go around the outside underneath the hotel. Your Strider's going to follow him through.
Oh.
And that is very brave, Joel, because that's where you went off last time and you spun yourself round. But he, of course, follows Alim Geshev. He knows Alim very well. They raced together last year in the Gulf Radical Cup, racing together as well this season. I've got to say, Your Strider has really kept his own after that spin as well. And he's up now into 19th position. He's within the top 20. But he's been hounded by the 111, which is Lee Jackson.
Yeah, Lee Jackson having a good battle out there. And it's still Christian Brooks in the lead for Pro 1500. Ian Aguilera sits second. Jack Yang, impressive run for him in third. Jordan Missick sits fourth. Chris Preen in fifth. Suelio Almeida sixth. And we've been told car 66 has been given a warning for track limits. Car 82 has a 5-second penalty. Car 3 has a 5-second penalty as well. So race control not being as kind as I am up in the commentary booth, but certainly, and car 66 now, a 10-second penalty for track limits. So Banksy from Japan is going to tumble down the order of the final results. 10-second penalty. We saw car 5, car 17 also with a 10-second penalty. That's disaster for Ian Aguilera, who is sitting second in Pro 1500. All of a sudden is going to shuffle down the order. Once this race finishes, Jack Yang could easily be promoted to second place in class.
And that is very unfortunate for Ian Aguilera, and the team will relay this information to him and tell him you need to speed up here, but you need to be very careful about track limits because reported infringements can cost you a lot. Here is Usman Magal with issue earlier on for him, and another time penalty has popped up on our screen. I think 2 time penalties popped up. Chris Preen has picked up one, car 17, we've already mentioned that. Car 82 has picked up a penalty now as well. That is the race leader in Pro 1500s.
Wow, and Joel Strider, no surprise really, has picked up a penalty as well. So this is disaster for some of those front runners, and no doubt if there is a radio, I don't think there is with the team Graham Rahal Performance and the likes of Jordan Missick. Jack Yang probably has a radio, but they'd just be telling their drivers to remain calm, stay within the white lines. The first white line, the race director was extremely clear about that in the driver's briefing.
And that is Rick Parrish behind Ibi Hadid. Now, this is not a position on track. Ibi is currently 16th and Rick Parrish is 25th at the moment. But great to see Rick Parrish really fighting here and staying with some of the series regulars.
Chris Preen also with a time penalty.
So that's now 3 of our top 5 in Pro 1500 to get a penalty. Jack Yang and Jordan Missick are the only 2 not to get it. That will drop Chris Preen back. Will he drop behind Suelio Almeida? No, because he has 7 seconds between him. With Ian Aguilera, yes, it would. He's got 4.1 seconds separating the 2 of them between himself and Jack Yang. Christian Brooks will drop behind Ian Aguilera, but he'll stay ahead of Jack Yang, so he will still have the lead and the top step of the podium with that 5-second penalty, but he has to be very, very careful.
Yeah, because the penalties also, they're exponential. It's not like you get 5 seconds and then another 5 seconds. I think it's 5 seconds, then 10 seconds, and it just sort of gets worse and worse and worse from there. Meanwhile, the order right at the pointy end, Alim Geshev doing the business once again. He's just been the star of the show so far in the Platinum class. Greg Gorski leapfrogging Oscar Joyce. right on board now with Greenwood.
So interesting enough, I just had a quick look at that yellow, the white device again. It's not a pit stop timer, it's a countdown for the race itself, because the timer on it matched our timing screens. That is a very interesting piece of kit there to have there. Car 82 has received a penalty for overtaking off track. Car 82 is a little bit further down on our timing screens. No, it's not. So that means Christian Brooks has picked up a penalty for overtaking. Did he overtake Ian Aguilera offline?
Well, that's going to add to his other penalty too.
Now, that is not something Christian Brooks wants. Remember, he had 2 trips to the podium yesterday, 2 third pieces for himself to take home, 2 third place trophies, as we're looking at the 47 and 91.
Yeah, Sebastian Murray's all over the back of Rob Greenwood and to the inside and makes it stick around this long carousel. So Sebastian Murray heads back up the order a little bit. He was ultra fast early on in this race.
And he had some issues specifically during the pit stop where we saw him shuffle his way down the order. Great to see Dream Racing back in the championship as well in Golf Radical Cup. Great to see Sean Simpson still in the paddock area as well. There is Ian Aguilera. He is currently running second, but he has that penalty in Pro 1500. There he is in the back of your shots. Now, Christian Brooks is just in front of him, and it looks like he's closed that gap up there between the two of them. Usman Magal moves offline because he knows, I'm not part of this Pro 1500 battle anymore. I'm out of the way.
And Jack Yang's just about to come into shot as well. Jack Yang isn't that far behind Ian Aguilera.
And that is going to be quite costly for him because of that penalty. And actually, now thinking about it, if Christian Brooks has 10 seconds and Ian Aguilera has 5, it is 5 or 10 does Ian Aguilera have? He has a 10-second penalty as well, right?
Jack Yang could be in the box seat here.
He could be, and the team will be probably telling him this. He's like, you can fight if you really want to, but stay as close to the back bumper of both Christian and Ian as much as you can. I think Alexander Nochikov's got another problem because he's lost out to Johnny Kazum, and he's had a slow lap as well with a 2:11.080. He was 10 seconds slower compared to Johnny Kazum. As Rick Parrish moves out of the way of Alim Geshev through the final corner.
So the clock counts down. We'll get probably 2 more tours based on, well, 1 more tour after this one, yeah. So 2 more tours based on the lap times. Alim Geshev with plenty of traffic.
And that was the 27 running wide as Ian Aguilera on the inside as well.
That's a big moment, and off track, and so lucky not to lose it. That was the...
David Evans, number 27, that almost pushed our second place car off.
And these guys are fighting, of course. Ian Aguilera, that's costing his time. He raises a hand because he says, Jack Yang is closing in on me. I've already got penalties. I've got to motor on.
And that is good news for Christian Brooks because now he can extend his gap. Well, it's only gone up to 2 seconds between the two of them. Not enough.
And there is behind that green and black car, that was Jack Yang. So again, Yang closes in. He's getting held up a little bit, perhaps by Parrish.
And there is Ian Aguilera, not happy with that because he's lost time to Christian Brooks, but that means Jack Yang has gained time. I think another car has picked up a penalty. Car 22 has picked up a penalty now.
Right, that's Ibi Hadid.
And the Canadian down in 16th place.
Yeah, so everyone, this order is going to be certainly shuffled. I'm not going to make any predictions until we see the official results on this one.
I think you're absolutely right there, Tom. We cannot predict it because there are so many penalties, specifically in Pro 1500. It seems to be actually the majority of Pro 1500 have somehow picked up a penalty. As here is Marcel Kopp, and just in front of him is Sebastian Murray, who has, entered the championship for the first time, or the Radical World Finals after a late-minute call, and he's had a fantastic run this weekend, currently circulating in the top 10 after losing the race lead in Pro 1500 after the pit stops.
Yeah, and I've got to say, Sebastian Murray might be one to watch this afternoon because the pace is absolutely there. We've seen it within the races. Things just haven't quite gone his way, and the checkered flag is out. So Alim Geshev has taken 3 heat wins here at the Radical World Finals. Fantastic result for him. Now, Greg Gorski did get across the line ahead of Oscar Joyce. So as Gorski moves up 1 step on the podium in terms of platinum, that's his first second place finish. Oscar Joyce completes 3 for 3 on the podium, but this time it's 3rd place for him. And now the provisional results in terms of the way they've crossed the line.
Here comes Christian Brooks across the line, followed by Ian Aguilera. Both of them take first and second, respectively, on track. But here comes Jack Yang. And how far back is Jack Yang from them? Jordan Missig, Chris Preen also across the line. Now, they could be on the podium.
I was going to say, it's very interesting, too. Jordan Missig, Chris Preen, and Jack Yang, that whole pack of the front runners in Pro 1500 condensed significantly. So it'll be very interesting to see how those penalties play out. Suelio Almeida finishing behind Chris Preen. Sebastian Murray, we were talking about him, and a great result getting that late race pass on Rob Greenwood. Andy Lowe, also a strong result.
And a great result there for Christian Brooks if he manages to stay up there. But for Jack Yang, he could be the one on the top step of the podium here in Pro 1500. In Pro 1340, though, Robert Burgess, Eric Andrews and John Hughes, who is about to make his way across the line, will be third overall. And that's a very familiar podium because we had that twice yesterday as well.
Absolutely, and looking at the points, it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out between Greg Gorski and Oscar Joyce. I think Oscar Joyce will start from second on the grid in terms of the Platinum class. Obviously, Alim Geshev is going to start on the pole, and I suspect the outright pole as well for the final. We're just waiting to see if the order gets shuffled here on the timing screens.
I think the stewards have a lot to do, Tom, because they've got not one, not two. There was at least 6 to 7 penalties to sort out there. So the timing screen is going to have a good time here figuring out exactly who is where. It's still showing us Christian Brooks, Ian Aguilera and Jack Yang as our top 3 in the Pro 1500 class. Platinum, there weren't any penalties
as far as we're aware.
And nor was Pro 1340. It was only the 1500 guys that were a bit more aggressive compared to yesterday.
Yeah, the ones getting slapped on the wrist today. So we'll see what happens there. We might have to do the podiums as they stand, but I think there's going to be lots of discussion up in the stewards' room after that one. There's the man that finished second overall and in the Platinum class, Greg Gorski, and Alim Geshev going to his rightful spot. I mean, if he finishes in any other position, I'm pretty sure that man's going to still turn up in front of the #1 placard. It's been his rightful spot all weekend long.
And this is going to give him a real confidence boost here in the Golf Radical Cup as well when we race again in a couple of weeks' time, when you go back to point scoring as well. While the Radical World Finals are taking place, unfortunately, despite the local talent here from the Golf Radical Cup being a part of it, this is not a point scoring round for them. But it is a confidence booster for the likes of Alim Geshev, Ian Aguilera, Usman Magal, who have been really fighting up there at the sharp end of the field in their respective categories. And, well, it'll be great to see them racing soon enough. There you can see on the left-hand side of your pictures the 77, Alim Geshev. There's Greg Gorski we're looking at right now. The 95 there is Oscar Joyce. And in between them is the 82 car there of Christian Brooks. Then it's Ian Aguilera, you see there on the left-hand side of Pro 1500, and Jack Yang in the 33. We're still unconfirmed regarding the penalties, who exactly is where. On our timing screens, it still shows us that order in Pro 1500. In 1340, though, as we said before, Robert Burgess takes it again. That's 3 for 3 for him. And then it's Eric Andrews and John Hughes rounding out the podium, as Ian Aguilera's car is being pushed in position. Now, Tom, I've noticed something. They have moved Ian Aguilera's car to a different side. Is that second? Yes, it is, because he originally pulled into the third Parc Ferme area behind third place finisher in the Platinum category, Oscar Joyce, but he's moved across to second where he finished at the line. But because he has that time penalty to be added, let's see if that car will be moved out of position. I don't think it will be. Well, there is a number 9 behind them, but that car is, of course, Robert Burgess, the man who wins in the Pro 1340 class. There is Oscar Joyce taking down his his helmet. You can see Greg Gorski in the background as well, and then Gashev will have his usual responses that are very modest and to the point as well, while Tom will go and prepare for the podiums, and hopefully they won't change too much by the time those happen.
Well, look, I think at the end of the day, we've got to celebrate the podiums as they cross the line. The officials will sort things out, and obviously that'll have a big implication for the points, but we may as well celebrate the winners as they cross the line. Certainly some fantastic performances, none more so than that man there.
It's been a fabulous race weekend for Olim Gashev as well. A new car for him. He's not used to racing the car at all, and he's come in and he's dominated the field here with not just the drivers that he participates against in the Gulf Radical Cup, but of course the drivers from around the world, the best radical drivers from around the world, from the likes of the USA, Canada, the United Kingdom, Asia, Saudi Arabia, Germany, Italy, France, Brazil, China, Mexico, and everywhere else. It's been a fantastic race. There you see just behind Christian Brooks' car is Rick Parrish. Of course, a great result for him in 25th position after not getting off the line, but of course a fantastic result to bring it back for Relentless Racing. Of course, the second car of Usman Magal struggled in the early stage of that race, but it looks like he got the car going again, and the team did a fantastic job to get the car running again, to be competitive despite Usman Magal finishing 27th. He'll be fighting back in the fourth heat race, the final race as well of the weekend. I can see Sarah is down there prepping for an interview with one of our drivers, and it looks like Sarah's got Christian Brooks, our winner in Pro 1500.
Thanks, Chris. Yes, I'm here with Christian. Incredible race. Well done for coming through the field. We're still waiting for final positions as there have been some penalties applied throughout the field. How was it for you?
Yeah, it was a difficult race. I got a really good start, come from fourth to first. And Ian was right on the back of me for the first couple of laps, but I had a really good middle stint of the race. I managed to pull a gap, and we managed the pit stop really well, and had a good gap coming out of the pits. But yeah, just the tyres going off were really bad in the last 5-6 laps, real overheating, had a lot of sliding, but yeah, still happy to come away with first on the track. We'll see what the penalties applied are, and yeah, happy.
Does it give you a lot of confidence going into the final later on today?
Yeah, exactly. I think whoever leads has a really good chance because it's really hard to overtake and follow around here with the wake of the other cars in front. So long as we have a good start, I think we'll be towards the front because we have 3 really good heats. So yeah, confident.
And you were talking about tyres struggling towards the end of that race. What do you have available for the race later on?
So I think everyone saved a new set for the last one. So these weren't fresh rubber, but we'll be going fresh in the last one. And obviously it's only a half-an-hour race, so should have less wear on the tyres because it's those last 15 minutes that tyres were really dead. So yeah.
Congratulations again. We'll wait and see what the final results are, but good luck for later on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah, there for the insights from Christian Brooks. He'll be hopefully on the top step of the podium, but we've not confirmed that just yet. We are still waiting to see if there are any changes to the results. I think Sarah's got another interview with us downstairs in the pit lane. Oh no, not quite yet. I think she's trying to track down some drivers. Saw Johnny Kazoom walking around in the background there. A good result from him as well. Could just see him on the far right of your picture there, talking to the team, talking about what happened in the race. So I think we can head down. We've got another driver interview with Sarah down on the pit lane.
Yep, I'm here with Rick. It's your first race.
It is, yeah, first race, first qualifying and first enduro without a drink at the pit stop, so superhero stuff, I reckon.
And how was that last stint for you? How do you feel about going into this afternoon?
Yeah, really good, really confident. Our car's going great, everything's just been set up for me beautifully, so yeah, I love radicals, it's just the best fun.
And how do you feel about the venue? It's quite iconic for the World Finals.
There's nothing like Yas Marina Circuit in the world. I think it's one of the nicest tracks to drive, and the facilities are amazing. So yeah, and I haven't come off into the wall yet, so it's suiting me really well.
And tell me a little bit about, we've got 32 drivers, some of the best radical drivers from around the world, all here for the finals.
Yeah, most of them went past me.
We don't need to talk about that bit.
No, exactly. No, it's amazing. It's an amazing event, and we're very proud with Kinetic 7, our hydrogen company, to be one of the sponsors.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sponsoring this incredible event. And it doesn't matter where they're going past you, you're still sharing a track with them. Good luck for this afternoon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, there was the boss of Relentless Racing. Of course, the sister car of Usman Magal had a few issues. Rick Parrish, of course, races in the Gulf Radical Cup from time to time. Always see his name on the side of Usman Magal's car, but don't see him very often at the race weekends. But it's great to see him here being a part of the Radical World Finals, and of course, he's excited for race number 4 later on today. We prepare ourselves here for the podium, and of course we'll get some highlights before we do that of race number 3, heat race number 3. That was a very exciting one as well, and the longest one of the weekend so far for the Radical World Finals. So now it's time to check out some highlights for the Radical World Finals, heat race number 3. But before we do that, why don't we have one more quick interview downstairs with Sarah on the pit lane.
Yes, I'm here with Usman. How are you finding it this weekend?
It's been good. We started off really well. I had a first and a second in the first heat, a couple of heats, but this last race was not so great, so I had a bit of car trouble.
We don't have to talk about the last race, but you know what would be great to talk about is having all these incredible drivers here in the GCC for you to compete against.
Yeah, it's great to have everyone from all parts of the world, you know, the fastest Radical drivers, and competing with the very best. You know, it elevates our game, pushes us on, so it's really good for us.
And what's the experience been like racing at Yas Marina? You know, last night we got to race at sunset as well in the stunning, you know, views.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think it's one of the best facilities in the world. It's a Formula One venue. It's iconic. Yeah, there's just so many great things about it, and you know, the weather's great. It's just a great place to race.
And looking forward to later on, how do you feel about that race? What are you going to do now to prepare?
First, I've got to find out what grid position I'm on. And then, yeah, just fight till the end and, yeah, hopefully get a good result.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having a chat.
Thank you. Thanks.
We are now going to head over to the highlights, and we'll take a look now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to celebrate the Podium finishers in the final heat race here of the Radical World Finals, and there's been lots of changes. A number of penalties dished out. We've got the latest results as they stand, and I believe there still are some drivers under investigation. We'll start with Pro 1340. Congratulations, another third place for Canadian John Hughes. In second place, he's done it again, Eric Sonny Andrews. And two Area 27 drivers making their way to the podium. And whilst his pit stop is under investigation, for the moment, taking the win is Robert Burgess. Congratulations, that's 3 for 3 in the heat races here at Yas Marina. Robert Burgess, Sonny Andrews making their way to the podium. And great battling all weekend long from the Canadians in Pro 1340. Could there be an upset later today in the final? Robert Burgess has certainly been a class act so far, but it's going to come down to the wire. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give these guys a big round of applause. Robert Burgess taking the win. Drivers' trophies nice and high, and we'll get a few shots. The Pro 1500 class, plenty of changes there too. After what has been a relatively disastrous start to the weekend, a change of chassis. Jordan Missig has come through to take a podium. Finally, he says, here at Yas Marina. And Graham Rahal performance rewarded with a strong result. In second place, what a weekend this young man is having. Congratulations, Christian Brooks. But taking the win, and it was some penalties that resulted in a tremendous result for Valor Racing. Jack Yang takes a win in Pro 1500. So two more different nationalities on the top steps of the podium in Pro 1500. This one goes to China and Jack Yang. Ladies and gentlemen, give these drivers a round of applause. Get those trophies nice and high, gentlemen. Let's give them a big cheer. Jack Yang taking his first win of the weekend. And we said it at the start of this weekend, there were numerous drivers in Pro 1500 that have the pace to win. No doubt we're going to see possibly a different result yet again in the final. Jack Yang will be hoping, though, he can continue this run forward. Jordan Missig finally making the podium here. A good result for that team. We'll move on to the Platinum class. And this time, it is another podium, but this time it's in third place. Congratulations, Oscar Joyce. Young Oscar Joyce finds himself on the podium again. The Irish Englishman makes his way to the podium in second place. He's moved up one step this morning. Congratulations. From the United States, Greg Gorski, kissing towards the crowd. Well done, Greg.
Thank you, Tom.
Great stuff from the Radical Works Team driver, typically a driver for EVR Motorsports in the USA, and taking his third heat win of the weekend. Congratulations, a clean sweep so far for Alim Jasev. Alim, quickly as you walk out here, this is just an amazing result for you. But these guys seem to be finding a little bit more speed. Do you think you have what it takes to get the win later this afternoon?
We'll see. We hope.
We'll see, we hope. We'll go and join the top step of that podium. He's certainly been right up there all weekend long. Congratulations. A great result for the United Arab Emirates so far. And our podium winners today, they've done the business this morning, but it all comes now down to the final. The points from the three heat races will be tallied. That will set the grid for the winner-takes-all final. It's back to sprint race format, a slightly longer race this afternoon. But right now, it's time to celebrate the victors in what has been another fantastic Heat Race 3 from the Radical World Finals here at Yas Marina.